Shalom Aleichem, Nesanel Gantz.
Shalom Aleichem, Chaim Yidel Hoffman.
Tzvi Goldring.
Tzvi Goldring, nice to meet you. So tell me about the company. What's the name of your company?
Okay, the name of the company is the Rent Tracker. We're a data furnisher that reports monthly rental payments to the credit bureaus every month.
It is, first of all, before we even begin, that is the most simple sounding amazing company. Right? We do one thing that you don't do. Explain what that means. What does it mean?
So, it's a revolutionary service. It's a new concept. It's a chiddush in the real estate world.
Explain the idea.
Okay, so until these days, landlords never had the power to report their tenants to TransUnion or Equifax and Experian on a monthly basis.
If they did, they just didn't know about it.
Right. Actually, it's something that's new.
Right,
it's a couple of years old. The only services that are usually out there is where a tenant pays. Yeah, right. See, what we're pretty much doing is we're making the landlord look like a creditor, and they are creditors according to the federal credit report.
Tell me your guys' role in the company. What are you two roles?
I'm the CEO, the owner of the company, and started the company.
And you?
I'm in charge of sales. We're building this company together.
Excellent.
Partners.
Because so tell me a little bit about your background. I know Tzvi used to do credit reports for years. You're the credit report guy.
I'm in the credit industry for 17 years, 18 years.
Right.
Everyone knows that. I used to be known and still known, AKA the credit rabbi.
Right.
And now I have my wife, the credit Rebbitzin, who runs that company.
I got married. I told my wife, I said, who said that a woman becomes a Rebbitzin because she's married to a rabbi? Maybe I become a Rav because I'm married to a Rebbitzin. Still working on that.
That happens.
How's the Kugel?
Exactly.
So you always with the credit
I've been always in the credit industry. Post-COVID, listening to all my buddies that are in the real estate industry and listening to the struggles, what they've been going through, not just in New York State. We're talking about a service that is the entire United States, all 50 states. I did my homework and worked very, very hard on becoming a direct member of the credit bureaus, and now gained the power of becoming a credit reporting company, which is technically 1 out of 5 in the United States that actually represent the landlord. There are many services that's something like what we do. You have the landlord is integrated with like an app that communicates with the tenant, and the tenant downloads the app on the phone. They can hire the plumber through the management, all these different services.
Like Manage Go, etc.
Right, and then you have where they pay the rent through that app, and the tenant can choose to opt into the program so it'll boost his credit.
That's tenant-based.
That is tenant-based.
So you're the salesman. You come to a company, you say, hi, you don't do anything. You're collecting rent, I'll access to the spreadsheet, and I'm going to make sure if you have a problem, we take care of it. Is that what you say?
Exactly, yes. I basically tell them that they have a new tool in their toolbox as a landlord, as an owner to collect their rent and to actually have some repercussions, and there's a good part of it. 95% to 90% of the tenants do pay. So for them, it's a huge plus. It's their biggest expense, biggest monthly expense, and it doesn't show up anywhere. It doesn't give them a boost, so now it does. But the real honest reason why landlords are actually choosing to pay for it, not the other way around where the tenants do it because they want to boost their credit, is because we offer it as a tool for the landlords to actually have a place where they can actually control the fact that a tenant has to pay on time. If they don't, it reflects on their credit in 30 days.
What's your background story, Chaim? What's your career on this?
Well, I used to do...
See, how old are you?
I am 42, Kinahan.
How old are you, Chaim?
I'm 46.
Okay, so what's your background story? Tell me
I have a there's a lot of things in the background, but where we got together is...
No, you, what's your background story? We'll get to that in a second.
How far back do you want to go?
26 and a half, no?
26, yeah. I was a logistics manager. No, I was a logistics manager, shipping in a huge company called Ali Processing, Mealmart.
Okay.
After that, I went into developing. And after that, I was in commercial mortgages. So when COVID turned around, we couldn't close any loans because nobody could show actual rent roll. And that's where we met up. We were sitting by a chasana, and he told me what he's thinking about doing, and I told him.
We have actually a mutual buddy that put us in touch from the business perspective. We've been knowing each other.
For years.
Chaim Yidel has a phenomenal voice, great baltvilla, and sings a lot of chuppahs, and we share a lot of friends. So we've been knowing each other for 16 years. But
did you still do your credit managing business? Is that still around?
My wife took over the whole credit.
Oh, really?
That's
very cool. That's very cool.
She's fully in charge.
That's amazing.
She still goes, hi, the credit rabbi's office.
Yeah.
But do
you have people work in that company? Do you have employees in the business? It's a one-man show.
She has 1 or 2 employees that work with her.
So let's talk about this idea because it's very, very interesting. Right. Essentially, if I remember correctly, when I signed my apartment, my lease, everyone does sign, by the way, we can report you to the credit bureau. But I guess they don't, right? So again, so how do you make your money? I mean, I'm assuming it's just a charge you walk in. How does that work?
Right.
Tell that to me.
So we have a simple sign-up fee, which is minimal, $2.99. Then we have a $100 processing fee for your whole company. So we're a very, very, very well-priced company. Then we charge $1 per door. It goes per door per month. We have an option of $2 per door for both bureaus, Equifax and TransUnion. We used to, and we are still probably going to be utilizing Experian, but we stopped now because we feel we don't bring any value to the landlord.
Experian doesn't report
negative as we speak.
On rent.
So therefore, the landlord shouldn't pay for it. But if somebody wants to opt in to build their credit, fine.
They pay the sign-up fee. They pay the $100 processing fee a month also.
Right. Yes.
And then basically.
And then
the whole company.
Right. I got it.
It's not per building, not per
the whole
LLC.
The guy could have
10,000 units. He pays that $100 processing.
That's not a lot. That's not a lot.
No. That's what we felt. We felt we're reaching huge owners Baruch Hashem, we signed up the biggest families, Heimische families that own units here, and even non-Jews, whatever. We have a huge portfolio that we're built. And one of the main reasons is, besides the beauty of our product, is the price. The price is very sensible. And the reason why we came down to $1 is because you have to report all your tenants. You cannot just choose to report the bad ones, because then it's a collection agency situation.
Yeah, I got you.
We are a reporter.
Do you have any people work for you besides for you two right now?
We have a couple of them. We have a data department. We have, it's called a dispute department, right? Because we are reporting negative data as well.
For sure.
So one of the reasons why most companies that do rental reporting don't report negative, because they don't want to deal with the whole headache of compliance when it comes to the negative reporting, which that's been something that I lived with. My expertise. And I was ready, so I said, no, I'm actually ready to take on the challenge. And by taking on the challenge, we represent the landlord now.
Correct.
So by representing the landlord, and the landlord pays for the service, a tenant, there's no state, almost no states, maybe 3, tenant really can't choose to opt out of this program.
I have a very simple question. Essentially, tell me if I'm wrong, what you're doing is a first to market, meaning once someone uses your service, they're not going to leave you, right? Because no one's charging 50 cents less. It's not worth it.
Exactly.
But it's all a race to the finish. Why can't someone tomorrow say, hey, I'm going to do the same thing you're doing, and I'll just sign up everyone else, and then it's over?
What's over?
In other words, obviously your parnasa is based on who else you can sign up, right?
We service landlords, getting more and more landlords.
More and more landlords. But again,
he's asking, why can't somebody just copy and paste us?
Yeah.
So it's very simple.
They could.
First of all, they could. Everyone is replaceable and everyone could do everything.
Correct.
But I always say it's 2022. Why didn't anyone do this until now?
No, I understand.
The answer is there's very few people, literally a handful of people, that can sit and challenge attorneys, anybody when it comes to the knowledge of credit and compliance of credit. It's something that I've been studying, sleeping, eating, breathing for 17 years.
Experience.
Knowing this, it's experience, it's the knowledge.
So let's understand the tachlis, right? Because obviously there's a benefit to the tenant if they're paying well, but let's talk about a problem, right? A guy comes in, he is not paying his rent, and now it's reported to the credit bureau. So what? So how does that help the landlord?
Well, if he's a tenant that cares about his credit, which 98.9% of renters care about the credit.
Right, so this is what I'm asking, where your expertise comes in.
It's a negotiating tool.
No, one second, I get it, but if I have another, if I'm your competition, okay?
Right.
And I do the same thing you're doing. So now he gets negative. What do I care? Like, what are you providing a service other than your main service? Explain to me the dispute
Compliance, knowledge, expertise, protection of being sued. This is one of the most, I call it, it's a happy sue industry.
You ruin my, is that a thing? You ruin my credit and people sue for that?
Well, people try to sue, but if you have a good company who knows the laws and knows the compliance and has the right attorney, I'm protecting the landlord who uses me and making sure they don't get sued. We're in business almost a year since I have my own licensing on this, and we're reporting, thousands and thousands of units, tens and tens of companies. Nobody's been sued. Nobody's even gotten a letter.
It's really,
it's all about fixing it.
And have you actually been able to help a landlord? Like
having a solid dispute department. Landlords every day.
Could I assume that, I don't know if you have this data, that rent roll and paying on time has increased?
Sure, we have this data.
That's amazing.
Sure.
25 to 45%.
We have a landlord who signed up, right? 35 days ago, 60 days ago, didn't even use it. And the tenant calls in and goes, oh, I see you're going to start reporting me. You can't report me. He goes, what do you mean you can't? What makes you say that? I'm going to run to my lawyer. So run to your lawyer. Our lawyer said we could report.
I love it.
Bottom line, she has an 850 credit score, but she owes $30,000 in rent. So now the land's 1 second. You owe me $30,000. You have an 850 credit score. Of course, I'm allowed to report you. And how I'm going to report you? Why don't you sit home and watch your score drop next month to 650? She goes, what can we do?
Pay your rent.
So there's always good options. There's good faith. Let's make a payment plan. If you stick to your payment plan, I'll work out a good faith deletion.
So
she came running. The guy made $25,000 before even he's using our service.
I love the idea of your company. First of all, you have a guy who reinvented himself. So that's speaking to you. I'm not saying you're, in a certain sense, again, I'm not saying...
It's like entrepreneur, right? It's another company, another concept.
I'm not saying in a negative way, but to a certain degree, I'm assuming the credit business, there was a lot of competition. It wasn't as lucrative as it was, which it's good to say.
Even in the credit business,
even in the compliance.
No, I'm not saying, I'm just saying it's important to recognize it, because if you're saying, it's one thing to say, hey, I was major successful in doing something. No, it's important to say, hey,
100%.
I did it.
Especially post-COVID. Right? Post-COVID was not a help to the credit repair industry.
I was struggling, and I'm reinventing myself. And here's a guy in mid 40s. I love the story. Who you try to make a panusa, you have kids, and I'm starting again. You're both in your 40s. To me, it's a great story, by the way.
Me and my wife have been sitting and talking for years. Do we close the company? Do we move on? I always said we were always looking for another niche, something different.
Let's talk about this. I want to talk about this beginning, because I think this is the biggest chizuk that people can get, right? You know, a lot of times when I interview people and I'll say, hey, what's your advice to a young entrepreneur? And I say that, but I've been changing it lately, because I wonder, what is your advice for a guy who's in his 40s, right? Or a guy who's in his upper 30s, he has 6 kids, right? The tuition's going up, he's having a hard time. That's the story. Yeah, your wife told me, my wife told me yesterday, I have a 14-year-old. Saying, Nesanel, so what are you doing for the chasna? I'm like, are you crazy? What are you crazy? Say, no, but if yours is a wedding company, like, what are you doing, right? I can't even think about that. So, but the fact that guys in their age, like to restart and do something that's an idea, it's kind of your combination. And I don't think you were ever a straight up salesman, am I right? It was never something you actually did just sales.
No.
And to restart is a beautiful thing. So tell me about that beginning stages, about when you started, there's always a little busha aspect to something. You know, how did you overcome that thing to start? I love that idea.
I think first, the great part is here that we are coming with a concept that almost nobody heard of. We're coming to the table with something that brings such tremendous value.
Relief
that no matter
landlords.
who you approach, it could be the largest real estate owner and it could be the smallest real estate owner. They're listening to you because you're coming with something that nobody's ever approached them. Everyone tries to sell something. There's competition all over and people just, right? Who ends up getting the business? The one that was the most feisty, the one that kept on calling, the one that kept on following up. The one that said, I'm not going to give up. I want this guy as a client. Same thing over here. But the good part is, by offering something that the guy never heard of, if he has another question about it, even if he doesn't sign up.
But you said a very good thing. You said a small guy. I'm a new guy. I'm trying to make it on the other side. I bought a building with 3 houses. I didn't, but let's say I did, right? You know, I'm going to pay $100 a month. I don't know. Is there a break for small landlords?
Well, for 3 units, not. But I definitely tell them, one thing for sure, I give you tremendous respect, because by having 3 units, you have 3 units more than what I have. Being in the reporting company, you would think I would be an owner as well, right?
It's probably still worth $1,200 a year. It's not the end of the world. It makes sense. It's worth the money.
It's a joke. It's unbelievable.
It's a fantastic idea.
This is by far the most anyone has ever got for $1.
Our aim is for 150 units and up, but of course we accept people. We don't.
For sure. Tell me about your response so far, because you're at the OGBA. It's your first year, first company started.
Second year, actually.
When did you start the company? 2 years ago?
We started last year was our first year in OJBA. We just came just to share the concept, to see the response.
How many clients do you have today?
About 75 companies that are using our service now.
That's beautiful. And do you have any that signed up last year from the OGBA that you met them here?
Oh, of course.
That's amazing. How did that happen?
Not right away.
For sure. You know. Tell me about that. I want people to understand that you come to an expo like the OGBA and you meet people and it's like, whoa. Tell me about the follow-up process. How does that work?
It's kind of tough because you know how it works after a show. Everybody has a ton of business cards in their pocket and a ton of emails. So it's a little bit hard to shine out from the riffraff. But the fact that we have such a beautiful product, such a unique item, and anybody that just spends the minute to listen and grasp, because a lot of people...
Did you follow up on everyone who was here?
No. We also pick and choose who we follow up with. We are not. We realize that there are certain owners out there which may be huge and may be very big in the industry, but we don't really want them as clients.
For sure.
There are very. Everything has to be very professional. So one of the main points that we see of clients lining up to sign up with us that we cannot service them is because they are disorganized. A lot of big real estate owners.
At the end of the day, you need to know who's paying the rent.
Exactly. That's not your job. Certain credentials you need.
Exactly. We're talking about huge people.
You got to run a tight books. Your books got to be in order. You can't play games. A tenant pays rent. You got to put it into the system. Sure. So when we collect the data every month,
if a guy says they didn't pay and they pay, it's your name on the line.
Again, what happens in the longer that we have it all the time, and this is something that always happens. That's why it's called a dispute process in place with compliance, with timelines.
Let me ask you a question. What advice would you give for a landlord who doesn't use you yet? You know what I'm saying? Is there...
There's another seat on the boat for everybody. You better come sail along because this is
the
by
whole United
far
States is going to use
epic,
this.
revolutionary. There's not any landlord who understands business and understands the return on $1 and the cost of $1. Jump onto this.
Have you guys had any major issues the last year? Like, what was your biggest issue you had? Any big
Sure,
big
there's always hurdles.
I want to hear a fashla. I want to hear a mess
Okay,
up.
so one of the big things is about integration.
He's thinking about something.
Yeah, because he knows I'm going to say it straight up.
Okay.
Integrating with so many softwares out there. Every landlord uses a different software. There's dozens and dozens of softwares. So building my system, I have to build a system that could communicate with their software. So yes, we have softwares that we already up and running and built and we can move quickly. And we have softwares where the client signs up and it can take a little longer the process because we never built an integration or an automation, something
or that
would
software is a little bit hard.
Or the software is more difficult. So yes, there's always hurdles. We get through everything because we look back just 12 months and I say, we're 50,000 units ahead of where we were last year.
Describe me your booth. What do you do to stand up by your booth?
Oh, that's so cute. You should come take a look at it.
Tell me now. They're going to put it in the video.
You should know Tzvi is
I was about to bring the saxophone. He said, come on.
Told you to do it. He's so epic.
So the next best thing, he brought his buddies.
I brought my buddy. I got Gregoria. He's got the violin in his hand. He's performing, guys.
The mood out there is awesome.
If you guys have a sandwich, come sit down, enjoy a nice classical violin player.
I'll ask you a question. How do you deal with stress? Chaim, we'll start with you. I always ask the Shaz.
So how do I deal with stress?
He just blows it
You
out.
always get angry, that's for sure. How do you deal with stress?
Honestly, I have a little shivisi in my pocket.
Yeah?
Nah,
don't be so slim. No one's the truth.
He calls me.
I don't deal with stress. The truth is, we're less stressful these days because...
You're making money, but get out of here. What'd you do before?
Daven a lot.
Yeah, you don't know. That's the answer. That's the real answer.
Emuna is the first
that's
thing.
true.
Siyata Dishmai, you can't give up. I did not think
beauty
this
of our
was going to go
product,
this
why
way.
we feel we are loved by landlords and tenants alike, you should realize there's a lot of people think I'm going to lose on, I'm losing, what was this guy? He told us, I'm losing out on so many tenants, they're not going to come to our building because you report.
Yeah.
I said, really?
If he's a good paying tenant, you want him. If he's a bad paying tenant, you don't want him anyway. So let him walk away because you report.
Guys, you're amazing. He's a good salesman. No matter what I ask him, he goes back to the business. He goes back to the business. He doesn't care what I'm talking about.
We have upped the credit.
What time is it? Let me tell him my business. Yeah, I like it. Go ahead. You
we have upped the credit for tens of thousands of tenants out there. You have no clue. The thank you notes that managements get from
even
their
those
tenants.
that even those that had a negative reporting, but I fixed it in a timely manner.
Because they paid up.
They called me back saying, thank you, my credit is fixed and went back up.
Also, your company is limitless. You can go so deep. You can start doing rent roll, you can start doing collection.
Yeah, you can do a lot of things. But the truth is, we
like to stick what we're good at.
We would rather work.
Thank you.
Thank you.